Listen to this simple sentence. I made a decision. It's a fact, but it's a boring fact. It leaves us with so many questions. Why did you make the decision? When did you make it? Under what condition? To answer these important questions, you need to add context. You need a special grammar tool called an adverbial clause. It is the grammar that adds the story behind your actions. Welcome back to our advanced series, English Grammar Unlocked. I'm your host, Scarlett. Today, we are learning how to explain the reasons, times, and conditions for our actions using the power of adverbial clauses. In this episode, we will turn this complex grammar topic into an emotional and personal story. First, we will listen to the story of a young explorer named Cale as he explains a difficult decision he made, and we will discover the 4 main types of adverbial clauses. Second, we will master 10 essential vocabulary words for talking about reasons and conditions. And finally, for our language focus, we will break down the structures and key words for each type of clause. Are you ready to add a new layer of meaning to your English? Every important decision has a why. What is the grammar we use to explain our reasons? Let's read the beginning of Cale's letter to his family to find out. Part 1. The reason. Clauses of reason. Our story today is told through a letter. A young explorer named Cale is in a small, remote village in the mountains. He was supposed to return home, but he has made a difficult decision to stay. He is writing a letter to his family to explain why. He writes, "My dearest family, I know you are waiting for my return, and I miss you all so much. I have decided to stay here for another year. I made this decision because I have found important work to do here. Since the village school needs a teacher, I feel a great responsibility to help. As I am the only person in this area who can speak both English and the local language, I believe I am in a unique position to make a difference." Let's pause Cale's letter. The bolded phrases are our first type of clause. Adverbial clauses of reason. Their job is to answer the question, why? They give the reason or the cause for the main action. Why did Cale decide to stay? Because he found important work. Since the village needs a teacher. As he is the only one who can help. The 3 most common words, or conjunctions, to start a clause of reason are because, since, and as. Because is the most common and direct way to give a reason. Since and as are often used when the reason is already known to the listener, or when the reason is a little less important than the main part of the sentence. They are very common in writing. A decision is not just about why, it's also about when. How do we use grammar to place our actions on a clear timeline? Cale's letter continues, and he starts to talk about the timing of his plans. Part 2. The timeline. Clauses of time. Cale continues writing, trying to explain the future to his family. I promise this is not forever. I will stay here until the new school building is finished. I will come home after my work here is done. I knew this was my path when I saw the children's faces on my first day. Before I made this final choice, I thought about you all for a very long time. I will write to you again as soon as I have more news. Let's pause again. These are adverbial clauses of time. Their job is to answer the question, when? They connect a main action to a specific point in time. When will he stay? Until the school is finished. When will he come home? After his work is done. When did he know this was his path? When he saw the children's faces. There are many conjunctions for time, but some of the most common are when, while, for actions happening at the same time, before, after, until, up to a point in time, and as soon as, immediately after. These words are the key to creating a clear sequence of events in your stories. Life is full of challenges and unexpected turns. How do we talk about the difficult circumstances surrounding our choices, showing a contrast between two different ideas? KL explains the reality of his situation to his family. Part 3. The challenge. Clauses of contrast. Kale wants his family to understand that his decision is not easy, but that it makes him happy. He wants to show two sides of the story. He writes, "Although life is very simple and sometimes difficult here, I have never felt happier. Even though I miss you all terribly every day, I know in my heart that this is the right thing for me to do right now. While some people might think I am crazy for staying, I feel that I have finally found my true purpose." These are adverbial clauses of contrast, also called clauses of concession. Their job is to show an unexpected or surprising result. They connect two opposite ideas. The life is difficult, but, although he is happy, he misses his family, but, even though, he knows he is in the right place. The most common conjunctions for this are although, even though, and while. Even though is often a little stronger and more emphatic than although. While is often used to contrast two things happening at the same time. These words are essential for showing complex feelings and situations. Every plan for the future depends on certain things being true. How do we express the conditions that shape our future actions? KL looks to the future in the final part of his letter. Part 4. The future. Clauses of condition. KL finishes his letter with his hopes for the future, which all depend on certain conditions. He writes, "If the village receives more funding next year, we will be able to build a small library for the children. The children will not be able to read more books unless we can get more donations. I promise I will write to you every week, if I have the time." These are adverbial clauses of condition. They answer the question, under what condition? They set up a possible situation and its result. This is the first conditional, which we have studied before, but now we see it as a type of adverbial clause. The most common conjunctions are if and unless. Remember, unless means the same thing as if, not. The children will not be able to read more. if we do not get more books. Cale has explained his difficult decision with great clarity and emotion. Now, are you ready to become a grammar expert? Let's analyze the powerful tools he used to build his sentences. Part 5. Language Focus. First, let's master our 10 new vocabulary words. Our first phrase is adverbial clause. An adverbial clause is a group of words that functions as an adverb, answering questions like why, when, or where. For example, because I was tired is an adverbial clause of reason. Our second word is reason. A reason is a cause or an explanation for an action. For example, he wrote a letter to explain the reason for his decision. Another example is, what is the reason for the delay? Our third word is condition. A condition is a situation that must exist before something else can happen. For example, he will build a library on the condition that he gets funding. Another example is, you can go to the party, but on one condition, you must be home by midnight. Next, we have contrast. A contrast is a large and noticeable difference between two things. For example, clauses with although show a contrast between two ideas. Another example is, I was struck by the contrast between the city and the countryside. Our fifth word is purpose. A purpose is the reason why something is done or created. For example, Cale's purpose in staying was to help the children. Another example is, the purpose of this meeting is to plan our strategy. The sixth word is circumstance. A circumstance is a fact or a condition connected to an event. For example, under the circumstances, he made the best decision he could. Another example is, the company was forced to close due to difficult financial circumstances. Our seventh word is decision. A decision is a choice you make. For example, it was a difficult decision for him to stay. Another example is, I will tell you my decision tomorrow. Next, we have to justify. To justify means to show a good reason for something. For example, he used the letter to justify his actions to his family. Another example is, can you justify your opinion with facts? Our ninth word is dependent. In grammar, a dependent clause is a clause that cannot form a sentence on its own. It needs a main clause. For example, all adverbial clauses are dependent clauses. Another example is, a baby is completely dependent on its parents. And our final word is conjunction. A conjunction is a word used to connect clauses or sentences. For example, because, although, if, and when are all subordinating conjunctions. Now for our grammar focus, adverbial clauses. Let's do a final review of the 4 types we learned today. They add context to the main clause of your sentence. Clauses of reason answer, why. They start with because, since, as. Clauses of time answer when. They start with when, while, before, after. until. Clauses of contrast answer. Despite what? They start with although, even though, while. Clauses of condition answer. Under what condition? They start with if, unless. And remember the important comma rule. If the adverbial clause comes before the main clause, you must use a comma to separate them. If it comes after the main clause, you usually don't need a comma. You've learned the theory of how to add deep context to your ideas. Now it's time for your workout. How can you practice using these connectors in your daily English? Part 6. Practice tips for the 4 skills. For listening, listen to someone explain a decision in a movie or a podcast. It could be any decision, big or small. Listen for the connector words like because, although, if, and when. These are the keys to understanding their real reasons. For speaking, explain a simple decision you made today to your AI tutor. Your challenge is to use a clause of reason and a clause of time. For example, I ate a sandwich for lunch because I was very hungry. After I finished my lunch, I felt much better. For reading, read the beginning of a news article online. News articles are full of adverbial clauses that explain when, where, and why an event happened. They are excellent examples. And for writing, use your journal to explain your plans for the upcoming weekend. Your challenge is to use if for a condition and when for time. For example, if the weather is good, I will go to the park. When I get home, I will watch a movie. Part 7. Your next action. Today, you are no longer just making simple statements. You are now an explainer. You are a storyteller. You can add depth, reason, context, and emotion to your ideas. This is a critical skill that moves you from being a simple speaker to a sophisticated communicator. As we conclude, let's quickly summarize our lesson. We followed Kale's emotional letter and learned about the 4 main types of adverbial clauses that help us answer the big questions: why, when, despite what, and under what condition. We also learned 10 essential vocabulary words for this topic. As a review, those words were adverbial clause, reason, condition, contrast, purpose, circumstance, decision, to justify, dependent, and conjunction. Now, I have a final question for you. Why are you learning English? Answer in the comments below using a clause of reason. Start your sentence with, I am learning English because. If you are committed to making this mindset a part of your life, show your energy by smashing that like button. Be a hero for a friend by sharing this video with someone you know who wants to explain their ideas better. And to lock in your commitment to learning, subscribe and smash that notification bell so you don't miss our next workout. Remember, every action has a story behind it. Now you have the tools to tell that story. Until next time, take care and happy learning.